In this remarkable first-hand account, Major General George G. Meade, commander of the Army of the Potomac, shares dramatic revelations that challenge the accepted story of the Battle of Gettysburg. Taking charge only days before the clash, Meade faced the enormous task of stopping General Robert E. Lee's bold invasion of the North. His words take us directly into the struggle, where Union soldiers fought with courage and determination against a powerful Confederate force. From the first shots fired on July 1st to the thunderous artillery barrages and relentless infantry attacks that followed, Meade's story reveals not just the strategies and decisions made in the heat of battle, but also the terrible human price that came with them. Critical moments, from the wounding of key leaders to the stubborn defense of Cemetery Ridge, highlight the grit and sacrifice of his men. As Meade reflects on the outcome, a turning point in the Civil War, his account gives us a rare look at leadership under pressure and the cost of preserving a nation. This story is both a tribute to Meade's tactical skill and to the spirit of the soldiers who fought at Gettysburg, a battle that forever changed American history. But before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to support our growing community. On July 1st, General Reynolds arrived at Gettysburg to find Buford's cavalry already locked in combat. Confederate infantry had taken up positions along the Cashtown Road, advancing out of the mountain passes. Buford's men were holding them off as best they could. Without hesitation, Reynolds pushed his forces forward, deployed his lead division, and launched an attack, while urgently summoning General Howard and the 11th Corps to hurry to the field. Tragically, soon after giving his orders, Reynolds was struck down and killed. Command of the 1st Corps passed to Major General Doubleday, while Major General Howard assumed overall command of the field. He arrived around 11:30 a.m. with the 11th Corps, which was then under General Schurz. Howard acted quickly, sending 2 divisions from the 11th Corps to reinforce the 1st, which was heavily engaged on a ridge north of town. He also placed his 3rd Division and 3 artillery batteries on Cemetery Ridge, just south of Gettysburg. Up to this stage, Union troops had been battling mostly against Hill's Corps along the Cashtown Road. Early fighting went well. Wadsworth's division of the 1st Corps pushed the Confederates back and even captured General Archer. But between 1 and 2 p.m., fresh Confederate reinforcements arrived, with Ewell's Corps pushing in from the York and Harrisburg roads. Suddenly, the Union troops were badly outnumbered. Confederate forces stretched around their flanks, and by 4 p.m., Howard ordered a withdrawal to Cemetery Ridge, south of town. The retreat succeeded, but in the confusion, many soldiers were captured as they struggled through the streets of Gettysburg. At this moment, Major General Hancock reached the field, sent by Meade to take command after Reynolds' death. With Howard, he began placing troops on Cemetery Ridge to prepare for another attack, but the Confederates did not press. Seeing the strength of the Union position, they chose to hold back. By evening, Major Generals Slocum and Sickles had arrived with the 12th Corps and part of the 3rd Corps, strengthening both flanks of the line. Reports showed the Confederate Army intended to bring its full force against us. After receiving Hancock and Howard's favorable assessments of the ground, Meade made his decision. Gettysburg would be the place to fight. That night, he ordered all corps to converge on the town and sent the supply trains to Westminster. At 10 p.m., Meade left his headquarters at Taneytown and rode to the front, reaching the field at 1 a.m. on July 2nd. By first light, he was already inspecting the positions and deploying his arriving troops. By 7 a.m., the 2nd and 5th Corps, along with part of the 3rd, had taken their ground. The 11th Corps held Cemetery Ridge opposite town, while the 1st Corps anchored the right on high ground that connected to a ridge extending south and east, where the 12th Corps was posted. The 12th Corps' right rested along a small stream crossing the Baltimore Pike, creating a natural barrier. Cemetery Ridge stretched southwest, sloping down toward the great rise known as Round Top. The 2nd and 3rd Corps filled in the line to the left of the 11th Corps, while the 5th Corps waited in reserve until the 6th could arrive. Meanwhile, the Confederates massed on an outer ridge a mile to a mile and a half away. Around 2 p.m., the 6th Corps finally arrived, having marched 32 exhausting miles since the night before. Meade quickly moved the 5th Corps to the far left and placed the 6th in reserve on the right. Around 3 p.m., Meade rode to the left to meet the 5th Corps, but there he found a troubling sight. Major General Sickles, commanding the 3rd Corps, had advanced nearly 3/4 of a mile beyond his assigned position. As Meade discussed a possible withdrawal, Confederate artillery suddenly opened fire, followed by a full infantry assault. The 3rd Corps resisted bravely under heavy pressure. General Hancock rushed men from the 2nd Corps to cover its right flank. Soon the 5th Corps arrived and extended the line to the left, quickly moving troops to secure Round Top. A brutal struggle erupted as Confederates tried desperately to seize the high ground. The 3rd Corps, now led by General Birney after Sickles was wounded, fought with courage but was eventually forced to fall back. Seeing the danger, Meade brought up reinforcements. Sedgwick's 6th Corps, part of Newton's 1st Corps, Lockwood's Maryland Brigade, and detachments from the 2nd Corps. Together with the 5th Corps' stand, these forces stopped the Confederate drive and pushed them back by sunset. Later that evening, around 8 p.m., the Confederates struck again, this time against the 11th Corps on the north side of town. But with support from the 1st and 2nd Corps, the attack was repelled. Meanwhile, on the right, portions of the 12th Corps were diverted as reinforcements, leaving a dangerous gap. The Confederates quickly moved in, taking part of the line. But before dawn on July 3rd, General Geary returned, counterattacked, and drove them out, restoring his ground. Fighting raged here through the morning. With help from Wheaton's brigade of the 6th Corps, Geary held firm and inflicted heavy losses. Elsewhere, the line stayed quiet until 1 p.m., when the Confederates unleashed a thunderous barrage from 125 cannons, pounding the Union center, and left for more than 2 hours. Following Meade's orders, Union guns held their fire, giving the impression they had been destroyed. When the Confederate bombardment ceased, their infantry advanced, launching the now famous charge against the Union center. The assault, directed mainly against the 2nd Corps, was fierce, but the Union soldiers stood firm and drove them back in bloody defeat. During the action, both General Hancock and General Gibbon were badly wounded, but the Union line held. This marked the end of the battle. The Confederate army fell back, leaving behind their dead, their wounded, and thousands of prisoners. Meanwhile, Union cavalry played a crucial supporting role. After their hard fighting on July 1st, Buford's division was withdrawn on July 2nd to rest and guard supply lines at Westminster. On July 3rd, Kilpatrick's cavalry moved to the far left along the Emmitsburg Road to distract Confederate forces, while General Gregg clashed with Confederate cavalry on the far right, striking their flank and rear in a bold attack. And so, Major General Meade's stirring account of Gettysburg comes to a close. It is a story of sacrifice, endurance, and turning points. The echoes of cannon fire, the bravery of countless soldiers, and the desperate struggle on those fields remind us of the moment that changed the fate of the Civil War. Gettysburg not only determined the direction of the conflict, it forged a legacy that still resonates today. But one question lingers. What if the outcome had been different? How might America look now? The answers will never be known, yet the lessons of Gettysburg remain as powerful as ever. Thank you for watching today's episode on Empire History Central. Please like, subscribe, and share to stay updated on our releases.